Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Shearer and I am a storyteller and an author. Today I'm going to be taking you way back in time. Long ago, but not that far from here, in London, in a time known as the medieval age or the Middle Ages. Many people made a pilgrimage, a journey all the way to visit the tomb of Thomas Becket. He used to be the Archbishop of Canterbury in the 1100s. That was before he was murdered by King Henry's knights. But that is another story. The story I'm going to tell you today is about the Canterbury Tales. And it's the story of how a group of strangers all got together. We'll begin on the night when Geoffrey, who was making this journey all the way to Canterbury, was growing tired and weary. He rode along on his horse, noticing that darkness was beginning to cloak him all across the sky. He was cold, he was wet, he was so tired. "I'm going to stop at that inn over there," he said to himself, recognising it as one of his friend's places. He got down off his horse and looked around to tie it up in the stables to keep dry overnight. And when he opened the stable door, he was stunned. He couldn't believe his eyes. "My goodness!" he exclaimed. "There must be at least 20 other animals in here. The inn must be very busy tonight." Geoffrey had thought that perhaps he would be only one of the few resting at the inn. But once he got through the front door, the minute it was open, he realised how busy it was. The smell of roasting meats and the bright lights and the loud sounds of clanking cups and beers and glasses, everyone cheering, and he heard his name as he entered the door. "Geoffrey! Geoffrey! Welcome! Come on in!" It was Harry Bailey, the innkeeper, and he always gave Geoffrey a warm welcome. Come. You must come and settle down. You're in good company tonight," said the innkeeper. "Look around." And Geoffrey did. Again, he couldn't believe his eyes. He thought that it would be a quiet night, midweek, making his journey. But no, the inn was packed with all kinds of people. He noticed a knight in full armour sitting in the corner, looking quite muddy. He'd obviously come from quite far. There were, nuns and priests, and he saw a lawyer and a merchant. And there was a cook. You could tell he was a cook. He was still wearing his apron, quite large, and waxing lyrical, talking loudly about all kinds of delicious food. Well, Harry welcomed Geoffrey in, told him to settle down, find a quiet corner if he could, to rest. Geoffrey decided to perch next to the knight. He seemed to be the only one that wasn't talking very loudly, and maybe he might have a good tale to tell, thought Geoffrey. The knight was weary. His chains were all muddied, and he was exhausted, knowing that he had another long journey the next day. He didn't say much. Geoffrey ordered a meal and looked around him. He couldn't believe how many other pilgrims there were in the inn that night. As everyone ordered their food and drank and spoke, getting to know one another, Harry, the innkeeper, had an idea. "Hang on a minute," he said to everyone in his room. "All of us are going to the same place tomorrow. We're all going to Canterbury. We're all making a pilgrimage." Well, this was met with raised eyebrows. Of course they all were, but so what? What did it matter? "Well," continued Harry, The journey is long and arduous as it is. We're all going to be bored and exhausted. Why don't we liven the journey up a bit?" "Well, what would you like us to do?" said one wife in the corner. She herself was travelling alone, and she could do with a bit of entertainment. "I've got an idea," said Harry. "Why don't we all tell a story on our way down? We can take turns. There are many of us to keep us going." "That's a great idea, fantastic idea." This was met with cheers and clapping. Who didn't like a good tale? Well, it turns out that somebody didn't. It was the parson in the corner of the room, sitting with his nose in a good book. He looked disdainfully at Harry. St. Paul says that storytelling, is a waste of time. He turned his face back down and looked at his book. Well, everybody ignored him. They weren't interested in that. They all wanted to hear a good tale. "I'll make it even more exciting," said Harry. "Why don't we have a competition, a contest? Whoever tells the best story can get a free meal on their way back on their journey home from the pilgrimage." Yay! Who wouldn't like a good meal? This was met with even more clapping and cheers from everyone, except for the parson in the room. Geoffrey thought this was a great idea as well, but what story could he tell? Somebody else stood up at the back. He was a merchant. "Well, how are you to be to decide who is going to tell the best story?" he spluttered. "I mean, how are you going to judge this?" Harry was not going to put up with this. This was his inn, after all. "Whoever doesn't like my rules can pay for everyone's keep when they stay." Well, that certainly quietened the merchant up. He did not want to be spending his well-earned money on everyone else in this room. And so it was decided that they would each tell one story on their way down, making their journey, their pilgrimage to Canterbury. Everyone bid each other good night, for they knew they had a long and arduous journey to make in the morning. They went to their respective rooms and thought deeply about what tale they could possibly tell to win a free meal. The rain beat down heavily like a drum all through the night, unrelentless, but helping everyone sink into a deep, deep sleep. And the following morning, before dawn had even touched the sky with her rosy fingers, everybody was awake, barely, and bustling around, trying to pack themselves up to go. They got their horses out of the stables, they packed up their bags, their belongings, and Harry needed to make another decision. He was always cheerful, morning, noon and night. Hold up, he said. "We need to decide who is going to go first with our story." "Come on, who wants to tell first?" he said, looking at, 29 of their eager faces. But everyone was a little bit too shy and a little bit humble. "Fine," said Harry, "I've got another idea." And he went into the stables and came back with a huge bale of straw. "Everybody take a straw, and whoever draws the shortest straw will tell the first tale." Well, that seemed fair enough. So they all took turns to take out a piece of straw, and the knight, with his heavy, clunking armour, sadly drew the shortest straw. "Well," said Harry, slapping him on his metal shoulder, "you are going to go first. What is the tale you're going to liven us up with?" The knight said he didn't know any stories. "Oh, you must know lots," said Geoffrey. "You've been in many, many battles. Why don't you share one with us?" And that set forth an idea in the knight's head. They all got onto their horses and started to walk off in the pouring, drizzling rain, and the knight began to enarmour them with his first story. But that is where we will leave the pilgrims for today, gathered together, bonding, strangers from the north of the country, the south of the country, countrymen, townsmen, cooks, nuns, priests, even a lawyer, even a doctor. There were so many different people, all journeying to the site of Thomas Becket. I hope you enjoyed that introduction to the Canterbury Tales, and perhaps I will see you again for another story. Thank you.